Due to copyright laws and difficulties sharing the podcast across different platforms, the music unfortunately had to be removed from the original recordings. I hope this doesn't spoil your enjoyment or interrupts the flow too much.
You are an Iron Man!
Well, January didn't go as expected. As previously mentioned, I finished the year in 2022 with a PB in my local 5-mile race, but I almost finished off my knee in the process. I have the dreaded runner's knee. Today, 28th of January 23, I ran 10k on a running track, and I'm nowhere near fit enough to be training long miles on the roads yet, or trying to sustain long, fast efforts. My knee hurts when I run, it stiffens up when I stop running, and it's just generally pissing me off. I smell of deep heat. I've been popping painkillers like Smarties. I've been able to attend the club run drills on a Wednesday evening, and they're going as well as can be expected under the circumstances, albeit I've been limping to the car after each session. The dodgy knee was bad enough, but I also had a freak accident on the bike. Whilst going round a small roundabout, the front wheel of the bike skidded to my left and I crashed into the tar. I was only going about 10 miles an hour at the time, sliding to a halt, injuring my hip, my knee and my elbow on the right side. Yep, of course it had to be the same side as the runner's knee. It turned out that there was some diesel on the road and it was wet from the rain, also making it treacherous and difficult to see. Such a shock to the system to be suddenly smashed into the tarmac. I picked myself up and managed to get off the road just before any cars came to the safety of grass verge, only to be faced with an obstacle course of dog shit. I was feeling sick from the fall and from shock, and the sight and smell of the dog shite didn't do me any good either. My cycle was over for the day, 9 miles short of the 40 miles I had planned. I rang my wife to come and collect me and realised at home that I was badly grazed, bruised and bleeding on the hip, the knee and the elbow. A few hours later I had learned that a group of club members had the same accident at a roundabout that I had managed to get through unscathed. 4 of them hit the ground at the same time. One of them knocked unconscious, bleeding heavily from the nose and mouth. He had lost teeth and was subsequently brought to hospital. I was lucky. Something I don't want to experience again, that's for sure. With regards to the plan for January, I did manage to hit my core training sessions with respect to the swim, bike and run, despite a little chopping and changing here and there. Life was always going to get in the way of this plan, and as such I needed to be able to adapt to situations and reschedule plans if needs be. My Wednesday morning club swims haven't happened. They never have for me, and let's face it, the time just doesn't suit with our family routine. I've therefore put my swim in on a Friday at lunchtime, and I've been hitting between 1,500 and 2,000 metres on each occasion, focusing on my form rather than the speed or power. I feel that this is a good compromise, as I'm getting the strength and speed drills on the Monday and training form and endurance on my own swim on a Friday. I'm happy with how my swim is coming on, and I'm excited about upping the distance and getting into the open water in the coming months. Strength and mobility sessions have not happened, and I have no excuses for this, I'm afraid. This is something I have not factored into my weekly exercise, and I suppose since I've never done it regularly, I'm not overly bothered about starting it at all. I do know, of course, that I'm kidding myself here. I mean, strength and mobility are crucial in this journey, and I'll need to be dedicated in the months to come to help me overcome the challenges of the course and cross that line on the red carpet come August. I can definitely see that strength and mobility work may have prevented this knee injury that I'm currently dealing with, so I know what I need to be doing. Apart from anything else, I'm paying out a fortune in sports massages trying to loosen the muscles and ligaments around my kneecap to get the runs in at all. As a last-ditched attempt to promote healing, I've been advised to wrap my knee in a cabbage leaf. Now, the family think I'm absolutely bonkers, but if it works for engorged boobs following childbirth, it might just work for my knee. I hope so. although I'm not looking forward to smelling like a vegetarian fart. Nutrition wise, I've cut down on sugar, I've been taking extra vitamins when I remember, and I have been snacking less. I have a lot more work to do on this aspect of my program. I've ordered several multivitamins, supplements, protein powder, protein bars, etc. online. I intend to incorporate these into my morning routines along with the porridge, coconut oil and banana that I love. I've also been testing out snacks and drinks on the bikes. Jelly babies, fig rolls and electrolyte powder in my drinks bottles are all working together for me and keeping me fueled well so far. Time will tell how well this strategy will work on the longer cycles, but I'm happy that so far I seem to have found a way of fueling without fear of making myself sick, like what happened at Dublin Marathon with all those gels I had to take. It's April Fool's Day and I am feeling foolish. February and March, whilst I'm generally happy with my consistency, I've not been sticking to the plan. When people ask me what the Ironman consists of, they often say that's madness, and I suppose they're right. It's something that I wholeheartedly believe that I can complete, but it is utter madness to think that I can just rock up in Youghal Town in August to take on one of the toughest challenges on the planet without putting in the training. I have been training, but I have not started any strength or mobility work. I don't know why I've been putting it off. Maybe it's because I'm tired with work and training the 3 disciplines, or maybe it's because I can't be arsed. Truthfully, I think it's the latter. If I want to complete the course without feeling like I'm about to die, then I need to stick to my training plan. That means all of it. I don't think I should play with this madness. I need to do the work. I remember talking to a friend of mine in Omagh Triathlon Club as he described the scenes in Youghal last year when he was down supporting his wife and fellow clubmates. He painted an honest and humbling picture for me. Mickey, just after dark and into the last hour of Ironman, it's a sad and pitiful sight. Those last guys are coming home in pieces. It's like the zombie apocalypse. They all finished, but by Christ they suffered to get to that line. You don't want to do that if you can help it, mate. Make sure you do your training and you're consistent. You want to be able to cross the finish line and enjoy the moment, and not thinking about how much longer you can stand up, or worse, even collapse in exhaustion. I don't want to be that zombie. This morning I did my first weight set, a light session to break the body in, and I intend to do some mobility work this evening when my left hamstring loosens a bit. I've also been in touch with a friend of mine who's a PT, and I've asked him to book me a slot once a week for a professional beasting to keep me accountable with regards to the strength and mobility aspect of my training. Furthermore, I need to address my nutrition. I'm training at least 6 days a week now, and I've lost some weight, but I would be a lot leaner if I cut out the apple puffs and pizzas, that's for sure. I really need to be more health conscious when it comes to eating. I'm kind of enjoying being able to eat like a pig and not put on weight, but again, I'm kind of permitting myself not to take this challenge 100% seriously. I am taking some supplements, drinking plenty of water, but if I cut out the chips at lunchtime and ignored the buns in the shop, I'd be in better nick. I think if I looked like a triathlete, I might feel like one, and I reckon that I would be a big confidence booster and motivator. I know I should do this, so I will try. So with 20 weeks to go, the monthly recap for February and March are as follows. February was a fairly unremarkable month, but I did train 6 days a week throughout the 4 weeks, and the highlights of which were a half marathon run in 1:56. And that's a good time for me, and at an average pace of 8 minutes 54 per mile. I got a 56-mile bike in, my longest cycle ever. March was a good month. I trained 25 days in March. I covered 238 miles across the 3 sports and climbed over 10,000 feet in the process. 2 big milestones achieved were a 100-kilometre cycle, which is 63 miles to be exact, and I completed 2 half-marathon events 2 weeks apart, achieving a new PB in my home event Omagh Half Marathon in 1 hour 51:15. And that was me increasing my pace and holding it over the last 5k. I even managed the sprint finish. I also finished the Portadown half marathon in 1:54 a fortnight later. Generally speaking, I'm seeing improvements in my swim, bike and run over the last 2 months. My swim has definitely improved, and the Monday night club drill sessions have clearly built my strength and endurance. I'm actually contemplating signing up to Swimathon to do a 5k swim, both to raise money for charity and to give me the motivation to start pushing the distance that I'm swimming. I think it will help. I completed a 750 metre swim from cold in the pool yesterday just to suss out my time for an upcoming triathlon in 14 minutes 38, and that was an estimated 7 out of 10 pace for me, so I'm happy enough with that. Hopefully on the day I can PB the swim, and that's my intention anyway. Cycling is my weakest event, and I continue to find it tiring over the longer distances. I'm playing around with nutrition to try and counteract the fatigue, and recently bought Tailwind powder and a box of Cliff bars, so I intend experimenting with these on Sunday's cycle, which is tomorrow, along with some gels just to see what works. I'm really enjoying being able to run now, and the club track drills are definitely helping me too, albeit there are some nights I can't make the 6 p.m. start. I've noticed that my default pace has quickened, my top speed has improved. I have increased endurance and my recovery is swift, with the exception of extra tightness on the days that I push too much during running events. I'm really happy to be able to maintain a low heart rate throughout my runs now, which is a big help. I've always focused on my breathing, simply allowed the running bit to take care of itself, second to controlling my breath. My recent Omaha half marathon was completed in a personal best time, and I managed to stay in zone 2 heart rate throughout, well in control, just as I planned. So looking ahead, I will be focusing on triathlon and completing a few triathlons over the coming months. I've signed up for 3 sprint triathlons, 1 pool event and 2 lake swims, and a middle distance triathlon on the way to the Ironman Cork. I'm looking forward to the next part of this madness. My aim is to keep my training consistent and controlled, and to avoid injury above all else. Ordinarily on the 1st of April, I'd be getting my fishing gear ready as the local river season opens today, but not this year. This year I've got bigger fish to fry. As a keen angler for years, I remember heading to my local loch with my fly rod for an evening's angling that coincided with the club swim. I remember thinking, look at this bunch of twats splashing around in their water with their rubber caps, and now I'm one of them. How times have changed. I've also confirmed my accommodation for Cork. I've hired a plot of turf on the old GAA pitch. I've bought an £18 tent on eBay, and I plan to kip on an inflatable mattress for 3 nights at centre half forward. There's a few lads from the club camping out, so it should be a good laugh. Absolute madness, more like, but hey. Time is flying by. Between family work and training, the last few months have been a blur. Today is the 29th of July. Ironman takes place in 3 weeks tomorrow, and shit is getting real. I've had some ups and downs from April to now, but happy to say that I've been fairly consistent with my training, and I have been hitting my 5 to 6 training days per week. April was a fairly uneventful month, to be honest. I just plugged away at the training plan as per the end of the last chapter. Now, I'm going to have to be honest, I haven't followed it exactly, but I always knew that this would be nearly impossible to do, so I'm okay with it, I think. The strength and mobility work that I vowed to incorporate into my training never happened, with the exception of the usual stretching I would do anyway after a session. I don't know if I'll regret this or not, but I assume that I would be better off if I had completed even 1 strength session per week. Truth be told, I couldn't be bothered. No excuse. I would recommend that if you're thinking about training for Ironman, that you do incorporate strength work into your week. All the experts and plans that I've ever looked at have it in there, so it has to be a vital ingredient. One that I have omitted, and one that I'm not going to add into the mix at this stage with only 3 weeks to go. I am seeing strength gains and muscle definition from all the swim, bike and run training, and I've been very lucky in that I have not been injured throughout this journey since my fall off the bike earlier in the year. Totals for April revealed I trained 40 hours, covering 439 miles across 33 activities according to Strava. I ran roughly 20 miles per week and completed the half marathon during the month. I do a half marathon every month anyway. I was consistent on the bike with 2 cycles per week and generally covered 40 to 45 miles on a Sunday. This jumped up to 60 miles on the last Sunday of the month, a trend that I would keep going throughout May. May tallied 46 hours of training in total, across 498 miles with 44 activities. The start of the month started off strong with bike, run, brick training sessions in the first week, and one of my favourite events of the year took place on the Saturday, Rampage. Rampage is a 10k trail, obstacle, mud run type thing. It's great crack, but a savage workout. Barbed wire crawls, hill repeats, log carries, balance beams, cold water ponds, slides, ice dunks, A-frames. I absolutely love it. I bumped into a guy at the start line that I'd remembered from the previous years. We both recognised each other, probably from our tattoos. He recalled that I beat him in the previous year and won the wave, which I unexpectedly did. He also shared that he had been working out more and he was in better shape to compete this time round. And I remember telling him that I was only out for a bit of crack because I have a 100-kilometre cycle to do in the morning. Anyway, long story short, I beat him again. My stamina and endurance was even better than last year, and whilst he had been working out, so too have I. I was buzzing that evening, scraped and bruised, but chuffed with the realisation that all this training was paying off. My first competitive triathlon of 2023 took place on the 20th of May in Limavady, a pool sprint race. Due to an admin error, I'd been placed into Wave 1, Lane 1. I realised that this lane was for the participants that were weak swimmers as I stood on the poolside sussing out the order of the swim lane. One guy estimated his 750 metre swim at a time of 17 minutes, and the other dude thought it would take him about 20 minutes. I thought I had entered 14 minutes on the app ahead of the event, but must have hit 24 minutes by mistake, because I normally use my phone to enter my time. Anyway, I was stuck there and I couldn't change my chip. It had been programmed to start at 10 a.m. I went out first and relaxed into my stroke. The 17 minutes guy kept reasonably close, but a gap started to appear by length 6. 20 minutes dude held me up, and I had to breaststroke until he stopped at the deep end to let me pass. I had to negotiate 4 overtaking manoeuvres throughout the swim and was slowed down so much at one point that I had time to clear the fog from my goggles before passing him at the deep end. I was first out of the water in 14:26. Chip time of 15:01. Subsequently, I found myself in the most unlikely of positions on the bike, leading the event. I knew it was a false lead, of course, but I liked it and I pushed hard to maintain it and managed to average 19 miles an hour over the 20-kilometre course in 38 minutes 28 seconds. I was the first man home on the bike with a chip time of 39:01. Out in the run I was pumped and accelerated through the 5k run with 7:43, 7:35 and 7:19 mile splits to record a 23:23 minute chip time for a 5k run, which is very, very close to my PB. I just got overtaken with about 1 kilometre to go and actually finished second in the wave overall. This effort would see me finish with a massive personal best of 1 hour, 19 minutes and 9 seconds. I finished 48th out of 134. Christ, I was on cloud 9. Never did I ever think I could finish a sprint race anywhere near this time, and to break an hour 20 was, until that point, beyond my ability in my head. For the first time in my life, I was beginning to believe in myself, seeing myself in a better light, believing that I'm more capable than I think. I would carry this newfound confidence into the next few weeks as I prepared for my second race of the season. June started with a bang. The 3rd of June was the date for the Kilkee Sprint Triathlon. I was really looking forward to this one, not only because I had completed it last year, but it was a beauty of a course. but also because I was going into this one with a game plan to give it a wee push, see what happens. This race is an open water event and starts in a beautiful freshwater lake with crystal clear water. From the off I got into a decent rhythm and maintained the speed over the 750 metre course in a decent time of 14:24. Transition 1 was done and dusted in 1 minute 11 and the bike went better than I anticipated in 37 minutes 6 seconds with an average speed of 20.5 miles per hour. 42 seconds in transition 2 and a 23:58 run seen me cross the line in 1 hour 17 minutes 24 seconds. Holy shit. Last year I had a similar swim, but my bike and run combined with perfect transitions had taken 5 minutes off my previous effort. As you can imagine, I was well chuffed. All the training was paying off. I was stronger, faster, leaner, and finally believing and seeing myself in a new positive light. The following morning I was up early, away on a 70-mile cycle. The week beginning the 5th of June I traversed 155 miles, concluding with a 90-mile cycle on the Sunday. Another 88 miles the following week before I would face my first half-distance triathlon in the stunning hills of Donegal, the Sheephaven Half, a 70.3 mile event on the 24th of June 2023. Going into Sheephaven, I had a simple game plan. Take my time, resist the urge to push, cycle within my limits on what would be a very demanding and hilly course, and control my breath on the run. The weather couldn't have been better for anyone that was spectating. Blue skies and 25 degrees, bright sunshine across the perfect sky, with a lovely nice breeze. If you're about to run into the Atlantic and swim in that breeze, it's less than perfect. I don't mind a rough swim. Truth is, I kind of like it. I've always liked that level of risk or danger. Indeed, I often remark that you only feel alive when there's a chance you could be killed. Anyway, the swim went well, although I'm not a fan of the Australian accent on the swim, particularly on an incoming tide, resulting in the cone being moved further and further up the beach with each wave, meaning that the longer the swim went on, the longer the course became. Absolutely bonkers. I joked afterwards that I could have twisted my ankle in the swim, running up the beach around a cone and going back in for the second lap. The swim, which should have been 1.9 kilometres, which finished when we crossed the timing mat, which was 100 metres from the surf, was 41:30. 3 seconds shy of 2 minutes in transition 1 and I was on the bike. Shortly into the cycle I met an athlete riding the wrong way, and immediately I thought to myself, there's always one. But it became apparent a few hundred yards on down the road that he was on his way back to get medical attention for a man that had crashed into the rough tarmac road. He was sitting up, covered in blood, clearly in shock. One of my fellow clubmen was with him and remained there until medical help arrived. My mate that was waiting with the injured guy had the previous year broken his collarbone in a horror crash on the same corner. It left me counting my blessings and reminding myself that this was another training day en route to Youghal town, and that my priority needs to get round this course and off this bike in one piece. The cycle went without incident for me, thankfully. 56.5 miles with over 3,400 feet of climbing in a time of 3 hours 31:50. It was faster than I estimated, so I was a happy man. The run, however, was not pleasant. Temperature had hit 26 degrees and my back was sore from the bike. I was unable to hit my anticipated pace, so resigned myself to a slower half marathon. I jogged from water station to water station and eventually reached the line in 2 hours 19. My official time for the 70.3 was 6 hours 36. Fair enough, and I was injury free. On reflection, I have come to assess this event as a significant improvement over this distance, plus a cool hoodie and another medal to add to the collection. Last year I completed the 70.3 in Tyrone in 6 hours 47:58, but that was like a kids movie compared to this 18-cert thriller that was the Sheephaven Half. July 2023, holiday time. I was looking forward to this and dreading it in equal measures. A fortnight in Lanzarote, home of the world's toughest Ironman course. We were staying in Playa Blanca on the southernmost point of the island for 2 weeks, and I had hired a road bike in advance of the trip. I have been to Lanza a few times before and had cycled to the highest point on the island last year with a guide, so I was looking forward to the warm weather and the perfect tarmac, which were both waiting for me in abundance. So too was the persistent wind. It never lets up. The wind blows from north-northeast and it's just relentless, blowing between 18 and 23 miles per hour on average, with gusts up to 35 miles across the hills, and there are a lot of hills on that volcanic Canary Island. At any point as you leave the coast, you're cycling uphill. Fact. I managed to get 5 cycles in over the 2 weeks. 12, 15, 26, 45 and 70 milers. Stunning scenery, brutal wind, savage climbing. But it should all stand me in good stead when I'm out on the hilly route in Cork. I also hit the pool and sea for some decent swims and did a little running, but couldn't maintain the volume that I had planned to do due to a chest infection that me and the wife and one of my boys picked up while we were out there. It's Saturday night as I type this. I completed a half marathon last night in training, and I have the lights and the bike computer charged for an early start in the morning to go for a 100-mile ride. Tomorrow's cycle will cement my self-belief and leave me more confident that I can break this 140.6 miles into manageable chunks. With regards to the cycling, I've been doing this largely on my own. In the earlier part of the year, I'd been availing of club cycles and was enjoying the banter as well as the training. Indeed, I was seeing improvements in my average speed over time, trying to keep up with the stronger cyclists towards the back end of the 50-mile trips. Once the miles went above 50, I opted to go alone, knowing that on the day in Cork, I'll have no company and I'll not be able to draft off anyone or use anyone to shield me from the weather. Initially, I tried to plot out cycle routes to make up the 60, 70 and 80 mile routes, but found this to be tiresome. So in the end I opted for Strava routes. On Strava you can click on the maps, click on ride and enter your desired mileage. Strava will then automatically generate a choice of routes for you. You can further manipulate this by choosing flat or hilly routes. This was a great discovery for me and I used it weekly. On the Sunday morning I would mount my giant TCR, access the route map on Garmin and hit start. From that moment the Garmin did all the hard work. In 1.2 miles turn left. Generally I knew roughly where I was heading, but had no clue about the terrain, the elevation, the directions through towns and villages. Garmin did this all for me. All I had to do was follow the directions and I knew that the miles would be covered and that I would be brought back to my doorstep. Taking the guesswork and stress out of the cycle meant that I was able to look around me, take in the countryside, and I saw a fair bit of the countryside, I can tell you. On numerous occasions I found myself in other counties and strange roads, literally had no idea where I was, but the trusty Garmin always brought me home. Highly recommend employing this tactic for your long cycles, and if you can get someone to tag along with you for the ride, all the better. Stepping on the scales, I've lost 14 pounds of weight. Weighing in at 11 stone 5 pounds, I'm now the lean machine that I've always dreamt of being for over 10 years. Being lighter will, without doubt, assist me on the bike, and I actually think I look the part now in my club cycling kit. Weight loss is a very welcome side effect of training for Ironman, particularly since I've been eating anything and everything all year with the calories I've been burning training 6 days a week. Casting my mind back, the last time I was in this shape, I would have been about 18 years old, although back then I wouldn't have been capable of completing a sprint triathlon, let alone Ironman, with the beer and smokes I was consuming. After a recent open water training swim, I spoke with a veteran Ironman in the Oma Triathlon Club, who left me with a simple piece of advice for me and anybody else tackling a long distance triathlon. Ironman is a long day, Mickey. It's a long event, but it is doable if you put the training in. Your body will take you around the course to the rate at which you have trained. So trust your body and know that it will get you around in the time that's in it. I'll tell you what I've told everybody else, Mickey, and it's as simple as this. Take your time, all day. Roger that. With regards to the advice above, I've been keeping my training under control, and I have remained injury-free by simply taking my time. I know there's a huge wealth of scientific measurement tools out there with regards to heart rate zones, threshold, lactate and pace, but essentially I've been training on my breath. This is not scientific advice, this is just how I did it. But I always knew that Ironman was going to be a long day, so therefore I needed to be training to be able to sustain my effort for upwards of 16 hours if I was going to complete this distance. Slow and steady, focusing on breathing, keeping my heart rate in check, and getting plenty of sleep have been key to my training so far. I seem to count to 4 in my head as I run, breathing in for 3 steps, holding for 1, and exhaling for 3 steps. This seems to be keeping my breathing in sync with my pace, and it appears to be keeping my heart rate in zone 2, according to my Strava stats. Happy days. I apply this 4 count with my swim also, holding my breath for 2, exhaling for 1, and inhaling on the 4th. Simply put, I've worked out a way for me to breathe, for my breath rather to rise and fall in sync with my cadence, and it works really well for me. It seems to prevent any sudden heart rate spikes. When I need to increase the effort or the cadence, I increase the force of the breath, breathing deeper on the inhale and forcing out the air faster on the exhale, but generally maintaining the 4 count rhythm throughout. Whatever happens in Cork, I know this. I will not run out of puff on the course. My cardio is good, my breathing is good, my heart rate is good. If I struggle, it will be my stamina that lets me down. Basically, I've been breathing all my life, so I'm pretty good at that. But I haven't been exercising all my life, so my body may not be ready to take me where my will wishes. We will see. To access my full training plan, I'll have to ask you to buy the book or download the Kindle book from Amazon. The link is in the description.